How's that? Today is Saturday, May 2nd. Today I just did a bunch of upper body work. So, snatch, push press, floor press. Floor press today was the bigger kind of focus one I today. To warm up my legs for the push presses, I did a bunch of pause front squats. These felt pretty okay. Um, some of them were not the greatest. I mean, that's kind of just a lot of my training goes. It's just not the greatest. But it felt like I was able to actually keep my hips in place here. So I did 5 total sets. Last week, I believe I did 3 sets. And this is important because last week, the sets at the heavier weight, so I started at 95 and then ended at 135. Set at 135 didn't feel too good. Here's my final set. Here is I I set my hips back deliberately at the beginning so that I could give myself the best angle to push through. First 2 reps here were fine, and then slight discomfort on the 3rd rep here. Not sure what to think about that, but I talked with Steve about keeping my hips more neutral. Once my hips get tucked under, then I feel like I've already screwed up and I'm in like a dead area. So after that, I moved into the push presses. I only had 2 warm-up sets to hit my first set of 5 at 210, but like I was pretty sweaty at this point. I had done those 3 or 5 sets of the pause front squat, so um, just kind of warming up the movement instead of actually warming up my body. Uh, I believe originally, so last week I did 250 for a triple, for one triple, and then when Steve was talking to me, he was saying that to try 235 for a set of 5, and then he changed it down to 220. Thank God he changed it to 220 because these fives at 220 were pretty hard. Like catching it 4 times, I guess. Yeah, they're not. I don't feel the best. Yeah, you can see there. I'm struggling, but this is I believe this is probably close to a PR, if not a PR. This is not a weight or a movement. Sorry, this is not a movement that I do reps on, and when they are when I actually do the movement in the past, it would be like 2 push presses with like an overhead squat. So nowhere near 5, and I'm pretty given like me reflecting on it now. I'm pretty happy with how everything is feeling. It's not impossible, and I'm able to work through a lot of my technical mishaps. Another thing that I talked with Steve about is trying to figure out the best way to approach my hip injury. Um, and I trust him for a lot of the things that we're going to be doing, basically everything that I'm going to be doing. And he was saying that he only has my best interest at heart because the biggest thing is like if I don't continue lifting, then then he's failed as a coach, you know. Um, so I'm sticking with him for at least a long while. Um, and then I also talked with him about like questioning some of the things that we do, mainly because not because I don't trust him, but it's more of like that thing where it's like, oh, is this the best thing that can be done? So here's my set of 10 at 180. Last week I think I did a set of 10 at 175, or it might have been 170. And then I did a bunch of back off sets. or excuse me, I might have done a few sets at 175, whatever it was. This is heavier than it was last week, and then I did a bunch of back off sets at 170 for 3 sets of 8 here. This is not the best setup for unracking and re-racking the block or the bar, but it's kind of what I am forced to do. After that, I did some AMRAPs with 100 pounds. I did a set of 17 and then a set of 16, or is it 15? I'm not sure. But whatever it was, this is 100 pounds. And so last week, I think I only did 90 or 95 pounds. I mean, 5 pounds more is not the biggest amount more, but it still is a progression, you know. Here's my final AMRAP here. And then after this, I did one of those one-layer warm-ups, the caps cool down, with just 2 exercises, a single arm dumbbell press, and then the banded tricep pushdown. These ordinarily would have a push-up right in there, but because I did so much floor press movements, that the push-ups are kind of overkill. So I have this here. I think maybe next week I might be able to actually increase the weight here. So I think that was about 15 pounds. I'm not super sure how heavy the handle is, so I can't really tell. Yeah, so I did that for 4 rounds, total of 100 reps on both of those exercises. And then I moved into some hip like strengthening stuff to kind of fix my hip. So this is what I've been doing mainly for my hip. This, and then I also do a different stretch for my hip flexor. This is like a Copenhagen hip adduction. It is extremely difficult. Right now, I have it set where my knee is on the bench, and ideally, I'll be able to get to the point where my foot is on the bench, which would extend the lever, so it would just make it significantly more difficult. Another exercise Steve wanted me to do was a single leg hip bridge here. Typically, I don't do these for my hip flexor or anything, so I'm not sure how it's gonna fare tomorrow or maybe even the day after. My hamstrings are probably gonna be lit up. That's okay. But yeah, that would be it for today.